when John James Audubon named this large raptor after his friend, financier, and ornithological companion Edward Harris, he had no idea that the Harris's hawk would become an object of fascination for Marna and Keith McClendon of North Scottsdale.
I think you thought this January?
We took some still pictures in January when we noticed there was just a single hawk that seemed to like sitting up on top of the saguaro.
Well, we just started realizing that now there are two, and we started seeing them come in time and time again, and then we realized with the sticks in their beaks, and then it's, oh, they're building a nest. We have a nest. You know, it's like, oh my goodness.
And the place they picked to build their nest was in a sturdy saguaro just outside of the McClendon's backyard. So armed with cameras and binoculars, they became urban wildlife watchers.
Well, it's like we were so much a part of the whole experience. So I think we started feeling responsible, just thrilled that that's our family back here. You know, somehow there was some pride in ownership, which was maybe bizarre, but that's how it felt. And of course, I don't think we saw all three right away. You'd see one, two, and then finally the third. There was always the third that seemed a little bit the real baby of the three. But just their heads at first, their little yellow, white heads sticking up, you know. And then we saw the feeding. I think that's the same day that we saw that they were being fed. And then we finally saw the heads stick up, accepting the food, beak to beak.
As the young hawks continued to grow and develop, Keith began to post some of his videos on YouTube.
Well, we set the camera up, he set the camera up in the bedroom in a great vantage point, so that every morning, and of course this became more important later on, once they were born and they hatched, that we could just look in the morning, and of course using the camera we could see better, and then we just would record anytime anything of interest happened. We did a lot of recording.
Even though the McClendons were captivated by the hawks, they were careful not to disturb them, while still getting close enough to watch the goings-on.
Harris's hawks seem to be a little more adaptable in that respect. Red-tails will get that way too in some urban areas, but they seem to be a little more flighty than Harris's hawks. There is, of course, just like everything else, there is a limit how close you can get before they get a little disturbed, and a lot of times they'll let you know. They'll either fly off or they'll start giving you a little annoying call that they do that will tell you that you're into their space. But in urban areas, Harris's hawks seem to do pretty well.
Well, when they seem to get upset, when you get closer in taking pictures, because when I go closer to the fence and get up on my little ladder, yes, somebody seems to vocalize that, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Call, call. But I think really they're very accepting and tolerant of us, recognizing that I'm constantly running around here, or you are, trying to get good pictures.
Since their house is located so close to the desert, this isn't the first time wildlife has made its way into their neighborhood. They've also seen javelina, coyotes, and a bobcat, which they happily watched from a distance. One of the things they found interesting while observing this family of resident hawks was there seemed to be more than 2 adults tending to the nestlings.
In Arizona, Harris's hawks are only social hawks, and you'll often find groups of 4 to 5 together, and a lot of times throughout the year, and they will often bring up a brood together. And so a lot of times you'll have an alpha female that is the one that actually lays the eggs, and then you'll have an alpha female, a male, and then you also have a beta male, and one that doesn't necessarily breed with the female but helps with bringing up the young and also helping build the nests. And a couple other individuals that are helping out a lot of times are the young from the prior hatching, and so a lot of times you'll have 1 or 2 young of the year helping the females, and the male bring off the brood along with 1 or 2 other adult individuals.
I was in awe in terms of the process and just the majesty of the Harris hawks, and being able to see how the parents took care of their kids.
I can't be that articulate. I just think it was really cool. I mean, first-hand, close-up look at, you know, from picking a place to nest, to build the nest, to having the babies and watching the babies leave. That's just cool.
I think what's exciting is, you know, you just can't believe what they really look like until they get up on the nest and they start extending those wings. And of course, they're really just trying to feel what that's like. Yeah. And then they just take it and they extend more, and then they start moving faster. Then they started to hop, and then the hop got, over a course of time, even higher. And you could just see that, you know, it's okay, babe, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And it's almost like they would try to encourage each other, or the one that did fledge first was out in a Palo Verde, very close to the saguaro, and clearly, from what we could tell, calling to the siblings. Nestmates, yeah, I can do it, you can do it.
What was kind of surprising to me is how fast they grew up.
Yeah. Oh.
They were the little white-headed chicks, and then it seemed like a week later they were adolescents. Yeah. They'd gotten color, they'd gotten a lot bigger.
Yeah. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, actually the breeding process is once the eggs have been hatched and are incubated, it takes about a month, anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks for them to hatch the eggs. And then they're in the nest for another, approximately about another month and a half. They're in the nest, and then near the end of that period is when they start spreading their wings and sitting on the edge of the nest and trying to strengthen their muscles.
When you think of wildlife viewing, you generally imagine someone taking a quiet walk in the great outdoors. But Marna and Keith got lucky. This time, the wildlife came to them.
I think it's cool. Just sit back, relax, watch the show, and learn as much as you can about what's going on.
Yeah, we couldn't have had it any better than they're right here. You know, I'm very grateful.